high-level temperament that he's brought to the South Africans for so many years now.
Speaking of temperament, Paulo Duarte, the Portuguese referee, will be in the charge. Final 8, then the door is very much wide open for Fiji, Australia, and Argentina to lift the 2022 HSBC World Series title. In order to emerge, they must beat the All Blacks and have sufficient points difference. Here we go. The Blitzbaka in their traditional green jerseys kick off low and flat. Well gathered by Tangitao. New Zealand looked very good. In their first 2 matches, they had 7 different try scorers stepping up to cross the whitewash. That's the depth of this All Black side. Penalty against the Blitzbaka.
Yeah, just no release from the South Africans, just really trying to put pressure. That's what they often do. They kick wide. They don't particularly contest at a lot of kickoffs. But then from that breakdown, they look to bring a lot of line speed with their defense and get a positive tackle and really attack that next breakdown.
Well, all the more reason to try and steal the ball because they have to make up that 12-point difference and win the match. So they're maybe going to take some higher risk options. Penalized that time at the breakdown. Set piece to New Zealand. The other subplot here is New Zealand have not made their final Sevens Rugby World Cup selections. All sorts of players being rested, a few injuries. So performances here at the LA Sevens to impress head coach Clark Laidlaw are very much on order. The offload doesn't go to hand. Lewis Ormond. Short runner doesn't get it. Circling around is Joe Weber, the 28-year-old, in his 42nd World Series appearance. Good line speed from the South Africans, but it's been a keep away right now from New Zealand. Avoiding the ruck situation, and a slip there has created a 2-on-1 into space. Goes Roko Lithoa. New Zealand, first try in this crucial Pool B match.
New Zealand working through the phases, going side to side, pulling the South African defense out of position, and then when they had the opportunity, they took it in deadly fashion. It's interesting, they were going back a lot more, and they seem to be more comfortable doing that than a lot of other teams would be. But just staying patient, probing, waiting for the moment when the defense was out of position, and then when it is, they flood into those channels with numbers.
Roko Lithoa with 1 try against Canada, 1 against the US, and now 1 against the South Africans. Extras good off the boot of our try scorer. So South Africa having even more to do. As a captain, a former captain of the Eagles, Madison, what is the message? You've got 19 points to make up. If you're the South Africans, do you go high risk to desperation?
I don't think you can go into desperation. I think it's going one play at a time and focusing on the moments. There's still tons of time in this game, and South Africa will know that if they play how they're capable of, they can win this game by 12 points.
Well, we saw them win the first 4 gold medals on offer in the 2022 series. But they've lost some form, although they regained that in Birmingham in England recently at the Commonwealth Games. New Zealand, though, being relentless, just pushing it through the hands, and it is the youngster, Che Clark. Che Clark at 19 was one of those stars who came out of a solid performance at the Commonwealth Games, and now he's got the 2nd try for New Zealand.
New Zealand coming out of the gates really hot, been so impressive in their first 2 games, and really looking like they're on that way in their 3rd. And South Africa looking a little deflated right now. I think usually, I mean, you never count out the Blitzboks, but they're usually among the best teams in the world at having everyone chase absolutely everything. They never quit. They chase absolutely every single moment. And right now, it looks like a couple of their guys, when they've got that moment where they could chase down a line breaker, could chase down an attacking player, their heads look a little bit down right now, and they've got to turn that around and turn it around quickly.
Yeah, it's very unlike this team to have ups and downs as they had for the second half of this season. But as I said, great form at the Commonwealth Games. And now, after this tournament, they're going to be heading home to their home, Cape Town, for the Rugby World Cup of Sevens. the pod ultimately does gather the ball through Sheikh Soizwapi, but New Zealand get their hands on it. Well, New Zealand looks so calm, so steady on the ball. Just doing the basics very, very well. Into space is Sione Molia. There's a high tackle there, and New Zealand happy to walk it through. They've got 2 wins, and they're banging on the door for their 3rd.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it, New Zealand looked incredibly calm, composed, not caught up in any sort of moment, but just focusing on what they can do right now. And South Africa don't seem to have an answer to stop them right now. New Zealand just going through phases, moving the ball around, and just waiting for the South African defense to make mistakes.
Well, we may have a rare moment in sport here where we have a group of Australians cheering loudly for the Kiwis. And they're relentless. Lewis Ormond gets the try. You heard a great interview with him earlier on. His honor of putting on that black jersey, and now he's provided the 3rd try for New Zealand.
And it's all looks like it's coming up exactly how South Africa wouldn't want it to. I think they had a tall order at the start of this match, and that order has only gotten more and more difficult as New Zealand have just exerted so much pressure and not really allowed South Africa to do anything right in attack or defense.
Yes, thumbs up if you're a New Zealand fan right now. And probably the worst team on the series if you do need to chase and make up a deficit of 12 points. The New Zealanders are too clinical. Conversion isn't good, but a great moment for Ormond.
So clinical and just really make fewer mistakes than any other team. So a lot of the other good teams, you know they're going to give you opportunities to attack. New Zealand are very good at just not really giving you any chance to get any sort of momentum going.
Just confirmation there of what happens if South Africa do not go to the final 8 here in Los Angeles, and it does not look like they are headed there. Well, who would have thought after 4 gold medals for South Africa that the series would be wide open down to the final day.
I mean, especially with the format, with your 2 bottom results being dropped out, you'd have thought 4 wins would have got you the bulk of the way there.
And that is the table right there. So if South Africa don't get through to final 8, that Australian team will just need to grab a medal here in Los Angeles. That's a top 3 finish. And the Argentinians and the Fijians, if they want any part of it, will need to win the tournament and then keep their eyes on the likes of Australia. So always something to cheer for and watch. It's been a great day of rugby here at the LA Sevens, not ending how the South Africans would like it to here, but outstanding performance from New Zealand here in this first half.
Yeah, an absolutely disastrous half for the South Africans there.
And the scoreboard reflects that. 17 points to 0, New Zealand over South Africa. Great chance to go sideline now with the American stand-in captain, Stephen Thomasine.
Captain Steve Thomasine, what a hectic game against the rivals Canada. Tell us about that, my friend.
Yeah, I think we let them get out to a pretty good start there, scoring the first try. Fought our way back to get a pretty good lead and then let them back into it. I mean, sevens is such a crazy game of momentum, but, you know, managing those moments that create the momentum are usually decide these ones. So we lost those moments in the New Zealand game, and we had a little bit of flaw there, but, you know, I think that's something for us to look into going tomorrow.
Let's talk about doing well at home. Is always very important for the fans, and you guys have done that.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a pretty good track record here at home over the last 5 or 6
At home.
I mean, it's so important, and we always love to do it and love to represent in front of our home fans.
Well, a Blitzbach huddle that is not particularly happy. They are down 17 points to 0. They need a miracle here. They have a 12-point deficit to make up if they want to play any part in the cup, in the top 8. New Zealand really don't want to let them do that, and they've come out brilliantly in this first half.
You know, New Zealand's just been so clinical, hasn't really given South Africa any opportunities with the ball, and when they have it in attack, they're just not making mistakes. They're going through phases, and eventually they're finding holes in the South African defense.
So the hanging kick down the middle. Again, the basics for South Africa have just eluded them. This is a bit more positive in space. Adonis brought down. Good incursion from him, though. That's the most positive play for some time. Midfield hit up. They're going to come back. They go wide. Saku Makata, oh, he sat down and driven back. And that made it hard for supporting players who were penalized in the end.
Yeah, when the defense make a positive tackle, it's easier for supporting players for that defender to go forward onto the ball. And when the point of contact is behind where you expect it to be, it's hard to be there as a supporting player. So great tackle. I think that might have been Regan Ware getting in on it, showing he's got it in attack as well, defense as well as attack.
So just in case you're new to it, the World Series has made up of 9 stops, so the championship we're talking about is one that those men there, the Australian players, as they watch this one, are hoping to lift the series title. There's obviously the LA Sevens title up for grabs, but there you see it. If South Africa failed to make the quarterfinal, Australia and Argentina and Fiji all have a shot at that title, but Australia very much in the driver's seat, so they're out in the sun watching it and enjoying it at the moment. Okolitho in the hooker roll. Again, excellent basics executed from the Kiwis here. That one spilled forward. Look at that. Commentator's jinx for you, Madison.
As soon as you say they're not making any mistakes, it's bound to creep in at some point. But I mean, really, 9 minutes here. New Zealand, I'm not sure they had a handling error. Look at my stats. I think that is the first handling error of the game from New Zealand. And when you just don't give opportunities to the opposition like that, it makes it very, very difficult to get into the game.
And how daunting is this as we head into the Rugby World Cup of Sevens? Final selection to be made. Dixon Collier being rested, we believe. Leroy Carter picked up a small injury, and still some other injuries and rest. Mickelson, Scott Curry, Kitu Navai, Newstub. I mean, all sorts of names that are world-class players still to be added potentially to this group.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fearsome prospect for other teams. New Zealand in the early going today have probably looked as dominant as anyone. They didn't get the result in the Com Games last weekend, though, and South Africa put one over on them. So I think it shows that in sevens, week to week, game by game, momentum can really swing.
An embarrassment of riches for Clark Laidlaw, the New Zealand coach. Right now, the Blitzbach are looking for anything. Darren Adonis doing his bit. Now they go wide. It goes to hand, but took a little too much time in the air. New Zealand able to scramble back, set up their black wall. Again, the Blitzbach attack very deep. It allows the New Zealanders to take away the space and stay connected. Good chase there from Clark. It was just a slightly different look. We mentioned Zane Davids and Dual Truman not available through injury. New Zealand come up the side there, I think, for Joe Weber.
And South Africa really going backwards in attack. There, as you mentioned, that black wall. New Zealand putting 7 men in the front line, having the far blind side defender drop back as a kind of scraping defender, and South Africa don't seem to really have a good idea of what they need to do in order to break down that line.
Well, not many sides on the World Series this year have protected the goose egg on the scoreboard. Currently, South Africa are going to remove that with their first try of the day.
Show a glimmer of hope. Still a few minutes left in this game, but they will need to put up what, another bunch of tries in a very short period of time. So it's, I think, possible for South Africa, and that might have given them some hope, but they really need to get it going and really need to speed up everything they're doing now.
Yeah, James Murphy finishing there in his 10th World Series event, the 26-year-old. happy with the achievement, but knows it's not what his country needs right now. They need a lot more. Well, the other subplot is this will mean the USA Eagles will live to fight in the Cup in their home event here in Los Angeles.
And the US have had a number of years now in a row. I think it could have been about 10 years since the last time the US didn't make the quarterfinals. So really important to do that on home soil, and great that it looks like it will happen again.
Well, you got a feel for head coach Neil Powell, who will be moving on from this incredible program he's built after the Sevens World Cup. There he is. He will not be happy with this performance or the outcome of this season. Incredible individual, and it's all about culture for him. The Africans will have a chance, I suppose, if Australia slip up, or Argentina slip up, or Fiji slip up, but not how Neil Powell would want to win it. There's a second good effort from his team. Shilton van Wyk off the bench.
And then it kind of seems like now South Africa finally showing some urgency. It's curious, they spent a bulk of this game going quite slowly, not really chasing everything in the way that you're accustomed to seeing from them, and now finally seem to be getting some belief, but I think they've left it a bit too late.
Williams adding the extras. Uncharacteristically easy, as the New Zealanders have been fairly stingy in defense. But good intensity, you're right. Shilton van Wyk watched that first half on the bench, and he's come on and made a difference here. Just a reminder, even the victory here would not be enough for South Africa. They need that 12-point deficit. Penalty to South Africa. So the fans who may not be aware of all the parameters that we've been going through would love to see South Africa score here at the death and grab the victory. Again, good speed, good intensity from Sean Williams. The quick feet. Wide flat ball. Angelo Davids comes back in field wisely. Here they go, looking for the victory. It was all New Zealand in the first half, but the Blitzbok showing the pride they have in the green jersey in this program. Still fighting. That's Adonis brought down. Well, we're into many phases, and we're after the hooter here. On his toes is Pretorius. Great work from the South Africans. Lots of local sport here. It spills out. Oosthuizen picks it up. Doesn't have a lot of options. Now he's going to go forward. That's what he does well. Oh, and it's spilled forward, and that will do it. Some exhausted bodies out there.